All right, it has been a huge 24 hours in science. We're talking about everything from humanity's next giant leap toward the moon, all the way down to the secrets rumbling deep beneath our feet. So let's just dive right in and break down the biggest stories making headlines. Okay, first up, our lead story. We're heading out to Florida's Kennedy Space Center because, well, something truly historic is happening. NASA has started the rollout of its Artemis II moon rocket. And you have to understand, this is the first mission in over 50 years that's going to carry astronauts on a journey around the moon. It's a huge deal.
And I mean, just look at this thing. It is an absolute beast. The fully stacked Space Launch System rocket, that's the SLS, it stands a colossal 322 feet tall. And get this, the combined weight of the rocket, the Orion spacecraft, and the platform it's sitting on, it's a staggering 11 million pounds. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second.
So, you might think moving a rocket is a fast process, right? Nope. This journey is definitely not a race. It's more like a very, very careful crawl. We're talking about a 4-mile trip that's going to take up to 10 hours. It kicked off at 7:04 a.m. Eastern, moving at less than a mile per hour. You know, every single inch of that journey is a crucial test, making sure everything is absolutely perfect for a potential launch, which could happen as early as February 6th.
And let's be really clear about this. This is not just another test flight. Artemis II is a landmark mission. It's going to carry 4 astronauts on a 10-day trip, looping them all the way around the moon. Think about that for a moment. This is that critical step that paves the way for future lunar landings. It literally marks humanity's return to exploring deep space. Okay, so from the vastness of space, we're going to bring it right back home, actually deep beneath our feet. Our next story takes us to Northern California, where scientists have just uncovered an earthquake zone that is way more complex than anyone thought. And the craziest part? They figured this out by listening for tremors so small you and I would never, ever feel them. So for years, the picture of this region was, pretty simple. Scientists thought it was just a meeting point for 3 tectonic plates. Easy enough, right? Well, wrong. By tracking thousands of these tiny, low-frequency tremors, researchers have found out it's not a 3-piece junction at all. It's actually a much more complicated, well, a 5-piece tectonic puzzle. So what exactly did they find down there? Well, these discoveries are absolute game changers. For one, there's a hidden fragment of an ancient plate just being pulled right under the continent. And a piece of the North American plate has actually snapped off and is being dragged down with it. Now, why does this matter? This new model doesn't just explain some puzzling old earthquakes. More importantly, it lets us get a much more accurate read on the future risk along the Cascadia subduction zone. And that place, well, it's notoriously dangerous. All right, we're going to stick with earthquakes for a minute, but we're going to shrink things down. Way, way down. To a microscopic scale, in fact. Engineers have created something they're calling an earthquake on a chip. And no, it's not going to shake your desk. It's a tiny device that creates controlled vibrations, and honestly, it could completely revolutionize our electronics. This amazing little piece of tech is called a phonon laser. Okay, let's break that down. You know how a regular laser works, right? It takes photons, particles of light, and amplifies them into a beam. Well, this device does pretty much the exact same thing, but instead of light, it uses phonons, which are basically the quantum particles of vibration. So it creates a coherent beam of sound, like super precise vibrations on a chip. So how in the world does this earthquake on a chip actually work? Well, the best way to think about it is like a tiny echo chamber for sound, all on one microchip. First, an electric current creates a little wave on a special material. Then that wave gets trapped and amplified as it bounces back and forth between tiny reflectors, just building up power, until, boom, a super coherent, high-frequency vibration is released. And believe me, the potential here is absolutely massive. One of the researchers said it perfectly. They called it the last domino standing. See, right now, your smartphone needs a bunch of different chips just to handle and filter signals. With this breakthrough, you could literally build every single component you need for a radio on one single super efficient chip. That's a real game changer. Okay, we've talked about shrinking our devices. Now let's talk about a technology that's doing the opposite. It's expanding our understanding of a massive global challenge. We're talking about using artificial intelligence to map cancer survival rates and figure out how to save lives all across the world. And when I say global, I mean it. The scale of this study is just immense. The researchers fed their machine learning model data on cancer rates, survival, and healthcare systems from 185 countries. That's pretty much the entire globe. But here's the really cool part.
This AI is doing more than just crunching numbers. It's basically acting like a master strategist. For each country, it identifies the specific policy levers, things like improving access to a certain treatment or investing more in doctors that would have the biggest impact. So this isn't generic, one-size-fits-all advice. It's a custom, data-driven roadmap for policymakers to actually save lives.
So the model found a bunch of key factors that are pretty consistently linked to better outcomes. Things you might expect, like access to radiotherapy or having universal health coverage. But the most crucial takeaway is that the AI can tell a specific country which of these factors matters most for them. That lets nations prioritize their limited resources to get the absolute biggest bang for their buck when it comes to saving lives. All right, to finish up, let's do a quick lightning round of a few other major developments. We're calling this Science Shorts, and we'll hit the latest in quantum computing and even some agricultural tech. It has been a really busy week in the world of quantum computing. A European startup called Wevlink just announced the first commercial sale of its quantum memory. That's a critical piece of the puzzle. At the same time, Equal One locked down 60 million euros in funding for their hardware. And maybe most importantly for all of us, a transatlantic trial for quantum-safe encryption was just successfully completed. So, big moves all around. And finally, in some ag tech news, it looks like farmers are going to have a smooth time adapting to new EPA rules about herbicide runoff. The takeaway here is that the new point system really shouldn't cause major disruptions. In fact, surveys show that basically all the corn and soybean fields in states like Illinois can already meet the new standards without even changing how they do things. And that is the science news for now. From deep space all the way down to the quantum realm, it is absolutely clear the pace of discovery just never slows down. We will be back with another update for you in 24 hours. Hey, if you want to stay up to date on all these incredible stories, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in.